One of the Ontario Hockey League's historic teams has reached a crossroads, and that's the Peterborough Petes, the team that has won 10 OHL championships since they entered the league back in 1956. They play out of one of the oldest arenas in the OHL, the Peterborough Memorial Center. It's 70 years old, and right now the question for the city is, do you build a new arena or do you stand pat with what you have? And Mike Davies from Peterborough Examiner has written an article which is worth a read if you're a Peterborough Petes fan, because former President Dave Pogue says there might not be a Peterborough Petes team in the future if there's no new arena, which to me is really hard to fathom. Because when you think of the Ontario Hockey League, the Peterborough Petes come to mind, the maroon and white. They've got the history woven with this league, and it's just I can't fathom the team not being in the Ontario Hockey League. So let's talk about the situation here, because it's like I said, this is a crossroads, I think, for the Pete's organization. Last week, City Council decided that they're going to move forward with potentially building a $170 million facility located downtown on Townsend Street. They've been talking about building a new arena now for the last few years, as they admit that this facility is past its prime. Now, people who live in Peterborough, I know I did a video recently about potentially seeing a new arena in Peterborough, and a lot of people commented, or a few people commented, about how the taxes are already too high and they don't want to pay for a new facility, especially when you see that $170 million price tag. That's a big pill to swallow, but that comes down to, I think, whether or not the city wants to keep the OHL, or maybe they'll look into a different direction. So what Pogue is saying here is he's a part of the committee trying to move forward on the an arena being built downtown, kind of to revitalize the downtown core. He says the proposal is for a 5,800 seat sport and entertainment facility. And he says that the city right now, it's dying in the core. It needs a revitalization. Pogue, a Peterborough native, he says he's afraid to see what the city of Peterborough will look like in the future. So right now, like I said, the city is right now at that stage where they're looking for the private sector to maybe come on board to help with this project, as it's a sizable project for the city to take on. But it comes at a very tough time. During this summer of 2025, several key employers have shut down or announced that they're shutting down. You look at Minute Maid, Lufthansa, In Touch, and Siemens have all announced that they're closing or reducing their facilities. And that's hundreds of jobs being lost in the city of Peterborough. Plus, the rental market has already been in a very precarious situation. So many residents want to see the city of Peterborough bring in jobs, build housing, affordable housing. They don't want to see a brand new arena. But if you're a sports fan, you see what this arena is. Yes, it's got the history, but it doesn't meet OHL standards. And that's where Pogue later in this article actually goes on that Brian Crawford, the commissioner of the Ontario Hockey League, spoke with Mayor Jeff Leal back in November and said that the arena, the PMC, does not meet OHL standards. And Pogue later in the article even goes on to say that there's other cities in Ontario lining up to acquire an OHL club. And he says if an arena is not built, the Petes will just move on to another city. They don't mention any cities, but here on the channel alone, we've talked about how Niagara Falls, New York, they're looking to build a brand new facility. I know that's an expansion discussion, but then look at Cornwall. The mayor of Cornwall 6 months ago came out publicly and said that he would like to see his city seriously considered as a home for a future OHL team, be it expansion or relocation. We've seen in the past how teams have looked at Cornwall as a potential landing site. So could the Petes in the future end up in Cornwall if they don't build a brand new facility? I know this is a lot of speculation and hearsay, but this article that has come out is really putting questions about the future of the OHL in the city of Peterborough. Now, the arena recently underwent a renovation. This was back in 2019. You'll remember $3.5 million was spent to renovate the Peterborough Memorial Center. What they did was they replaced the concrete floor, they upgraded the boards and the glass system to meet the OHL's safety standards, as that's been a movement over the last 10 years or so, is trying to get all 20 rinks up to the OHL safety standard. So the Peterborough Petes managed that. They started that season on the road. I even remember for the Peterborough Lakers, the lacrosse team couldn't play out of the PMC that season, so they had to find an alternative venue to play that year. But the city did the work, so they've spent millions to keep renovating the old barn. And the last significant renovation came back in 2003. They spent $13 million to renovate the Memorial Center at the time, which included 24 luxury box suites, updated seating, improved concessions, a licensed restaurant, and also new boards and scoreboard at the time. So a lot of money has already been put into this. And according to engineers, renovating is not an option as this facility is past its prime. It's right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they do build a new arena, if they'll just tear down the old PMC to make way for maybe housing or other sorts of projects for the city. But yeah, so renovating is not an option here for the Peterborough Memorial Center. They have to build new if the OHL is going to stay. They could play in a lower tier league, I guess, if the OHL decides to move on. But it does say a lot when past president Pogue is saying that the commissioner of the Ontario Hockey League has spoken with the city, saying that if the arena doesn't meet OHL standards, they will have to move on. And we've already seen it, how the NCAA situation is being a factor on facilities. I did a video the other day talking about how they want to improve player standards and enhance the player experience, because now you're also competing against college and universities out of the United States, which put tons of money into their facilities. And if OHL teams are going to attract the talent to stay in junior hockey instead of going at the NCAA route, they have to have these facilities, and the teams are going to have to put out the money. We're seeing new arenas coming up in Brantford, Sudbury, and Ottawa, which Brian Crawford has talked about in the past, but it's Peterborough that's lagging behind. So the mayor has made a commitment with the OHL that they want to get a new arena built within the next 5 years. But if city council drags its feet, or they say they don't want to spend the money, well, then I think the future of the Peterborough Petes becomes more into question going forward here. And like I said earlier in this video, I can't fathom an OHL without the Peterborough Petes, but this is a tough spot. Like I said, it's a crossroads for the city. They've been through some very tough times economically, and I think there's been maybe poor decisions by city council in the past, because if they would have built a new arena back in 2003, let's say, it would have cost $25 million for that project. Now, because of the cost of materials and all that goes around building a new facility, the cost of these arenas is going up and up every year. So the more you kick the can down the road, the more expensive it's going to be if you want to do a big project such as this to have a new facility. So we'll have to wait and see what happens next. Like I said, the city did a vote last week. They're now looking at options for funding this project. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below. If you're a fan of the Peterborough Petes, what are your thoughts about this? Do you feel as though the city needs to build this new arena, or are you leaning towards the fact that the economy not in a great spot right now with the city of Peterborough? So it's such a tough spot right now. We don't even know if the federal government or the provincial government's going to throw funding towards this arena project. We know that the federal government's building a new high-speed rail line, which is supposed to go through Peterborough. So, there could be some spin-off jobs from that, but is it enough to really get this project off the ground? So yeah, like I said, it's a very tough spot. If you haven't read the article, I highly recommend it. Mike Davies posting it on the Peterborough Examiner, talking with former President Pogue about the future of this team. So it all depends on if a new arena is built, and just with all the dynamics right now affecting junior hockey, it's kind of putting the Peterborough Petes in a very tough spot, and almost have to build a new arena if they're going to stick around, say, in the next 5-10 years. But it's until we find out what the city of Peterborough is going to do, the Petes will continue to play in Peterborough. It's one of my favorite markets to visit during the Ontario Hockey League season. I cannot wait to go back to Peterborough for when the Colts make their road trip, although that road trip's not until the end of the regular season. But still, if you've never been to a Petes game in Peterborough, it is highly worth it. The fans passionate. Even when the team struggled these last few seasons, they've been selling out that arena quite often, despite the team's struggles on the ice. So Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Let me know in the comments below, like I said, your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We'll talk to you again soon.